Good damn morning, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. Adam Toledo. Say his name. Adam Toledo. Who is that? You may or may not have heard of him. 13-year-old boy who was shot by the police, I believe, on March 29th. And the body cam footage was released yesterday. And Chicago is on fire. People are smashing windows and looting. And hold on a second, guys. Oh. What? Okay. Sorry, that was my producer in my ear telling me that Chicago's not on fire and people aren't rioting. Of course not. The kid wasn't black. People, you already know, if the race isn't right, if the color isn't correct, and if the pigment isn't perfect, ain't shit gonna happen. What did happen? Well, this 13-year-old kid, first of all, let's rewind it. It took place at 2:38 in the morning. I'll say that one more time. 13-year-old boy out at 2:38 in the morning. So many failures have taken place for it to even come to that. He's out there. There are reports of shots fired. Cops show up. There's this 13-year-old boy and a 21-year-old man. The fuck's he doing hanging out with a 21-year-old man at 2:38 in the morning? Again, so many failures. So he's out with this man. Reports of shots fired. Cops show up. I'm not sure if they apprehend the 21-year-old before or after Adam Toledo, but they got the 21-year-old in custody. And the video, the body cam footage starts with this cop running down an alley, yelling orders. Show me your fucking hands. Show me your hands right now. Stop. All this shit. He's running up on the kid. They're in the alley. You see the kid come into frame. His back is to the cop. He turns around. The cop says, show me your hands. The kid spins around. Boom. He goes down. So the lawyer for the kid, and she's not one of the usual suspects. She looks like a Mexican lady. I could be wrong, but that's what she looks like. And she's saying that the boy didn't have time to comply before the cop shot him. And judging by the footage, he didn't. It was like, show me your hands. He turns around. Bang. Turns out, though, the little boy did have a gun. Because if you watch the rest of the video, and most of the video, here's the irony, people. Most of the video, because the shooting only takes a few seconds, most of the video is the cop's body cam picking up footage of the cops trying to save the kid's life, talking to him. Are you okay? Talk to me. Pumping on his chest. So if these murderous, racist cops are out here killing black and brown people, isn't it convenient how they lump us together when necessary? So these racist cops are out here supposed to be gunning down these colored kids, but they spend most of the time pumping on his chest, trying to save his life. So this little boy is dead, but there weren't windows smashed out. There weren't big screen TVs and yak being stolen. No cop cars got bricks through the windshield. Why not? Cop, dead colored kid. I'm not sure if the cop is, what race the cop is. I don't think they've released it yet, pending an investigation. But you got the Rat King. Why do I call the mayor of Chicago the Rat King? Because for the 6th year in a row, Chicago is voted #1 for rat infestation. No bullshit. So the Rat King up there, she looks like the sloth from Ice Age. You know, the same mayor who during the pandemic said you can't go get your hair did, but she was caught out getting her hair did. And she said, I need to because I'm a public figure and I have to look good. Well, you failed because you don't look good. So she's up here saying, it's so sad when the loss of life, especially when it's a child and I'm the parent of a 13-year-old. Wait a minute. Anyway, I'm not even going to get into that bullshit. But you up here crying, and I don't doubt that it was sincere. It seemed like she really was crying. But why are you crying now? Because last year during Father's Day weekend, when 100+ people were shot over a fucking weekend in a major American city. Just another day in Chicago, in Chirac. 100+ people were shot over a weekend. 15 of them minors, and one of them, at least one, was killed. Her name was Amaria Jones. And I looked, but I couldn't see any footage of you up there crying at a press conference over her. Now I know it was her fault. How dare that little girl be 13 years old being silly with her mother inside her living room? She had the audacity to be showing her mom one of the latest moves on TikTok when a bullet came through the window and shot her in the neck. Her mother said she was reaching out with one hand and holding the bullet hole with the other, bleeding to death on the living room floor. Well, what do you expect? You can't have these kids out here running around being silly, making memories. They must be snuffed out. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know. But I could not find any footage of the Rat King crying over Amaria Jones. But there is footage of her crying over Adam Toledo. Let's go back. Why in the fuck was this 13-year-old boy hanging out with a 21-year-old, number one? But Jericho, you can't stop your kids from doing everything, and they're going to do what they do, and they're going to get in trouble. Yeah, I understand that. But you shouldn't be hanging around with no fucking 21-year-old. Period. One level of failure. Two, this boy has a pistol. How did you get a firearm? And later in the footage, you can see one of the officers standing there, shining a light on the gun. He's standing, there was like a fence, a wooden fence, and it looked like some of the planks were missing. So he's standing right where the plank should be. So right here is one side of the fence, right here is another. He obviously threw the gun. Now, I don't know if before, because like I said, there were reports of shots fired. So I don't know if the cop, if they saw one of them with the gun, if they saw him with the gun earlier, and then at this point in the chase, the cop thought he was spinning around with the gun. I don't know. But there was a gun there. The boy did have a gun. Why does that 13-year-old have a pistol? I had guns when I was 13, but they only shot BBs. I didn't have a 9. I didn't have a Glock when I was 13. Somebody screwed this kid over. Somebody set this kid up for failure. Somebody allowed this kid to become friends with a 21-year-old and get a gun and be out of the house at 2:38 in the morning. Why is that happening? Now, you can't stop your kids from doing shit. They're gonna do dumb shit. They're gonna hang out with people they shouldn't be hanging out with. But what you do have to do is plant that voice in the back of your kid's head. Plant that fear of getting in trouble. That's going to keep them from doing some dumb shit. Knowing that, man, my mom's going to kill me. My dad's going to kill me. Or how about this? I'm sure this is rare, especially for kids like this in Chicago. My mom and dad are going to kill me. It would have been a group effort. My dad would have held me down while my mom killed me if I was caught out at 2:38 in the morning. The only way I would be outside of my house at 2:38 in the morning at 13 years old is if I happened to be on a road trip somewhere or spending the night at somebody's house. But I damn sure wasn't out chilling at 2:38 in the morning. That is so messed up that this boy was put on this path of destruction by people not giving him structure and rules and discipline and a loving home, because kids like this don't come from environments like that. So whoever his parents are, or his mama, or the Nims, or whoever, you killed that little boy. You put that gun in his hand out in the streets of fucking Chicago at 2:38 in the morning. What did Chris Rock say? Nothing positive happens after midnight. He said, if you're at the ATM, you're not taking money out to donate it to the Salvation Army. after midnight. So the parents should be standing up there. If the officer gets charged, it depends. If the officer gets charged, the parents need to be standing up there next to that officer. You need to be sitting in the defendant's chair next to that officer. Because you did that. You might as well have pulled the officer's gun, walked up to your son, and shot him in his chest. You did that. The hell is a 13-year-old doing hanging out with a 21-year-old? If I find my 13-year-old hanging out with a 21-year-old, the 21-year-old and I are going to have a fucking problem. And I better not ever see you around my child again, or the problem is going to get worse. You out here, these people blaming the cops? Fuck that. Who put these kids in front of those cops? Who put Adam Toledo in that alley at 238? Who put Dante Wright in that car on the day he was killed? Who did that shit? The same ones who sat back and turned these kids into little thugs. The same one who's putting the battery pack in the backs of these little thug robots, these little thug 2000s running around. Your fault. You need to be right there with these cops facing charges. Because you're just as, if not more culpable than these officers. Because if you didn't fuck up, they wouldn't be in front of these officers in the first place. They wouldn't be getting pulled over. And if they did, they would know how to act. You know what is so stupid? There's this shit out there called the talk. And apparently only black parents give it to their kids. But they tell them when a police officer pulls over, you need to do this and don't move and blah, blah, all this shit. No, here's the talk that every single parent, no matter where you fall on the color chart, needs to have with their kids. When you get, it's real simple. It's only a sentence or two. When you get pulled over by the cops, do what you're told, show respect, bring your ass home. If they disrespect you or mistreat you, don't say shit. Name, badge number, bring your ass home. We'll handle it. There's channels to go through to discipline these officers, especially now. You mean you're a colored kid? And side note, every kid's colored. We're all in the damn Crayola box. All of us. But that is a talk that every parent needs to have with their kid. Colored or not, have some respect. But especially now, if you're colored and you got a legit case, this is legitimate abuse of power, police brutality. All the evidence, man, you know damn good and well what's going to happen to that officer. You know damn good and well what's going to happen because we see what happens to him on some bullshit. So if it's legit, you can only imagine. And the video, yeah, I'm not going to put a link to it. It's fucking everywhere. But it's sad to watch. You're watching a 13-year-old get shot. And it wasn't his fault. There are people that put him in that position, including that fucking 21-year-old. We hanging around with a 13-year-old for? Do you know how annoying 13-year-olds are? What are you talking about? What are you doing together? You're in two different leagues. He's a kid, and you're old enough to buy alcohol. What do you have in common with a 13-year-old? That fucking turd needs to be right there with the cops if they get charged to stand trial. Who do you think got the boy the gun? Who do you think was showing him the ropes on the streets? Who do you think was helping him get in trouble? Helping end up in front of this officer at 2:38 in the morning in an alley? That 21-year-old piece of shit needs to be charged too. And actually, I believe he is. But he should be charged with that kid's murder. First-degree murder. Because you intentionally put that kid in that position knowing that it only ends one of two ways. And especially in Chicago, chances are your ass is getting killed. Sad. Real sad. Want to hear some more sad shit? Bidenists, pervertists, our grandpa in chief, they just got the order from a federal judge that they can seize property from this family to continue building the wall. Yeah. I thought he said he would stop. But apparently the Department of Justice says that there are some gaps that need to be filled. Yeah, there's a 2,000-mile gap that needs to be filled. It's called the border. What? What, man? This is the crazy. So what, you're going to repackage it so it's your idea and not Trump's? Why don't we have a wall? Why don't we have a wall all the way up to the sky? Because if you're trying to come here the right way, it doesn't matter how big that wall is. It doesn't matter if there's a wall there or not. That's not the way you're coming in. I don't care. If you come in here legally, it shouldn't matter how big the wall is. That wall should be 1 mile thick and 10 miles high. Come through the front door. What is the problem? Well, we know what the problem, we know who the problem is. But it's awfully funny that there's no crisis at the border. There's no problem. It's not a crisis. It's just a minor annoyance. Open borders, come on in, but we got to fill some gaps. What does that mean? How wide are these gaps? Where are you putting these sections of the wall in that Trump wasn't going to have them put in? Are you putting them in places he didn't plan to put them? Or are you going to put them in the same damn places where they should be? If it wasn't true, it would be funny. If it really wasn't happening to us, if we just read this or were able to watch this in a movie, it would be funny. And we would sit back and look at the people and go, why do you guys keep voting these kind of people in? Like, you know what kind of a turd they are from 20, 30 years back. You got the footage. Why you guys keep voting them in? You know, that's a good question. That's a real good question. But Biden is taking a page out of Trump's book, and he's going to go ahead and continue building the wall, filling in the gaps. I don't care what, filling in the gaps, building a wall. I don't give a damn what you call it. Put a barrier between us and Mexico. And here's the funny part. Mexico has a wall. Man, you put a bunch of Hollywood writers in a room with guns in their head, they couldn't write shit better than this. Now let me get back to my state-mandated meal period. The only good thing California's giving me. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Get your Jericho Green notification tone, link in the description box. Utilize the PayPal link and the Teespring link to get your green gear. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.